Hey, CloudZero heroes. Welcome, welcome. Come into the room. We are here with a wonderful guest for our first podcast, the Sam Marx. He's an experienced leader in the cloud engineering space, and he leverages DevOps practices before they even called it that. But I'm going to pass the reins stick to you. Sam, thank you for coming. Would you like to share a brief bio about yourself?
Yeah, Thalia, thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be able to be here. A little bio, a little about me. Started off in the kind of operations space a very long time ago, working for a company doing artificial intelligence, way before it was on anybody's radar back in the very early days of things. I really discovered that a lot of the invisible work that happens in operations was what I was drawn to and what I was very passionate about, kept going in the industry. And then they named that work, and it was called DevOps. And so I've been following those practices, building teams towards leveraging those practices. And one of the huge components in that is why we're here talking today is understanding of the finances of things in the cloud space, especially. So it's been a long and interesting journey to get here.
And now we're doing FinOps, where we were doing FinOps before it was called that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's.
Do you have a fun fact? I asked you if you could bring a fun fact. I just wanted to know
Yes.
if you had one to share.
So, fun fact. So my dad collected science fiction books, had about 100,000 books. He passed away in 2012, unfortunately, but he left with a very large logistical challenge of what do you do with 100,000 books? So I can tell you what it takes to move 100,000 books across Texas. And it is, you start measuring it in tons and not how many books you're moving. So it's, but we were able to get it here to a book collector and bookseller where they had my dad's memory live on in the collection.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And
Living on. And so,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's absolutely cool. I think it's wonderful. You're holding on to your father's memory and sharing his love with people, which I think is beautiful. I wonder now, with sci-fi, do you think Darth Vader was in for FinOps? Because he was extremely efficient in what he was doing.
That's true. So if you watch the latest Andor series, like they actually go into a lot more like the bureaucracy of the Empire. And I think that Darth Vader probably choked his FinOps person at least one time.
Okay, so speaking of the journey that Darth Vader is going, let's switch gears to the journey that you've had, CloudZero. Before CloudZero and after CloudZero. How did that journey evolve?
That's a fantastic question. We're actually going to have to go to stepping into CloudZero. So I stepped into a role at a previous organization that was already using CloudZero and became the kind of owner and shepherd of this. And this was a company that had a very large spend for cloud costs. And being able to see everything in CloudZero immediately, I've seen a lot of cloud cost management tools over the years, but this was the first that just made it make a lot of sense, especially in the Kubernetes space. And then I stepped into my current role and needed a cloud cost management. Stepped in and saw that what was being put together was being run by like an engineering manager as a set of Python scripts that was aggregating across multiple organizations. And immediately I said, no, we're going to fix this. Engaged with CloudZero, and turns out that other people in the organization also had CloudZero experience. So it was a very easy sell of saying, yeah, we're gonna go down this route. Able to get CloudZero onboarded very easily, very quickly. Immediately replaced that set of Python scripts that one engineer was running with. It was just out of the box already there. And then CloudZero U helped to build out a dashboard that immediately replaced all of that. And it was even more accurate because we discovered that there were things that weren't showing up there properly. And so that alone made that process go significantly smoother. Was able to start sending links to finance folks, to other engineering leaders, and that just kind of like laid the path for being able to do this much easier.
So you went from selecting a cloud visibility tool to being able to give visibility and transformation almost immediately to teams and to their spend.
Yeah, I think it was even during the first 3-day demo of just getting onboarded.
What?
I was because I had the familiarity with it. I knew some of the questions that I could directly ask. And it was one of those that, oh, this is just going to be pretty seamless. I was able to take those monthly reports, take that monthly script that was being run, because we have two different organizations, and there was no visibility in the AWS side of things. We were able to, the only way that we had visibility into that was that set of scripts. And that was so easy to onboard in CloudZero that, it was just immediate value there.
I love that. I actually want to dive deeper into the FinOps transformation that was happening here. So this section is really like energy set for us, because with FinOps in full bloom, that energy of how are we solution-based thinking about how to transform. So my first one that always comes to mind when I'm speaking of a transformation is, where are you flourishing in your FinOps journey?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about that one. I would say we're flourishing in the visibility aspect. So this company is a product of a few different acquisitions, and as you know, every time you do an acquisition, every time you clean out your junk drawer, there's something lurking in the corner somewhere. So just being able to
Yeah.
see a lot of things that weren't necessarily visible and weren't necessarily seen in one place. I onboarded a financial person for the first time into CloudZero, and the response was just, I'm seeing things in a way that I didn't even think that I'd been able to see before. So being able to see more than just AWS spend, because there's so much more that goes into it, just made things so much more visible and more helpful. And then that's going to be very instrumental in transforming the culture from one of that's kind of permission based into one of it that's more empowered. So if I tell an engineering team, here's your new feature rolling out, if you just tag it with this appropriate tag, here's the dashboard how you can go see exactly how much this is costing you, and that's the next step that we're really looking forward to.
That's absolutely key. Well, what is that secret sauce that you're using to get this kind of culture change and this transformation that is happening? You're engaging finance
Mm-hmm.
and engineering?
Yes, that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed doing and really see, and it comes back to kind of the DevOps philosophies too. Is DevOps kind of tells us that it's not just finance's job, it's not just technology's job. This is one company, and we're all spinning from the same bucket. As we all always say, one team, one heart, one wallet. Um, so we looking at it through that lens of we're all trying to do this shared accomplished goal together. That's, I think, the key there is reframing it so it's not just about finance's budget or technology's budget. It's about the company budget and about making sure that we're doing things more efficiently, effectively, and visibly.
So then what was the key moment where you realized that CloudZero was a game changer for the team in reaching these transparency goals?
There's been a couple of them, but the first one was all the way back in the first time I showed that engineering leader, hey, here's CloudZero. You don't have to keep doing your script, and just the visible relief of, because that also tied in with a cultural change, because I was relatively new. I was looking at building trust with the team too, and I said I will fix this portion for you. And that also went a long way towards, tools can't always fix your culture, but they can help you facilitate that change. So that's credited to Bridget Crumhut, who ran DevOps Days globally for quite a while. I always loved her quote on tools won't fix your broken culture, but I added then they will help facilitate change though. So that's absolutely being able to leverage that tool to help build and drive that trust, and then we just keep building on top of that, and it's just so easy to get to so much of that data versus the 8,000 clicks in AWS, being able to just say here it is. I always say that like CloudZero is like building a fantastic Lego model where everything's roughly assembled for you already. AWS is essentially giving you a bunch of Lego molds and molten plastic and saying good luck.
They're like, work it out.
Yeah, you're gonna burn yourself. It's fine.
I think I listened to you when in this last one what held in my heart was when you spoke about building trust. Is that part of the cloud cost culture that you're most proud of building? And even hearing how trust comes from cloud spend.
Yeah, that's a huge passion for me, is building empowered teams, and the basis of empowered trust,
Mm.
transparency, and visibility, and cloud cost management. I mean, being able to see how much things cost, everybody in the organization being able to see, oh, this is how much we're actually spending on these things, is a huge thing for being able to level set. And, suddenly, like, that's a thing that you just can't hide. If suddenly, a giant spend comes in, everybody's got visibility into that. So then we can have those conversations in more public areas, and be able to deal with that more as an organization rather than just a series of silos.
Synced instead of silos. I mean, that's the team take.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears to our hot take section. Hot take. So in this section, you just say the first thing that comes to mind when you hear something specific.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to state is cost per environment. Dev, test, prod. Who's the real budget monster?
Invisibility, I'd say, is the biggest, because assumptions are made, but people don't do it in a transparent way. So I think
Yeah.
I think dev has a lot of hidden costs, but one of the things that we don't always measure is we just look at the resource cost rather than the team impact cost. And I like to take it back to the measurement of, does this extra spend help us build and deliver software faster and easier? And if so, I'm more okay taking that on versus our testing and our production environments, which our customers are directly interacting with. So I think that what I've normally seen is it's not just dev tests, prod, but it's also all of the supplementary accounts. What's going on over in this data account? What's going on in this legacy account that we didn't bother cleaning up? And that's where I like to focus a lot more of my energy, enabling the teams, trusting that they're leveraging things in good ways, in transparent ways, and then going to find the supplementary things hiding in the corners.
Hiding in the corners. So what's the meaning? Because you mentioned metrics. What's the meaning behind the metric? Because it feels like you place some meaning to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are all data points, right? And to be a data-informed culture, you need data points. And one data point doesn't necessarily tell you a story, but you get enough of them and you start getting a bit of a picture of, is there room for efficiency? Are we doing things in the most effective way for our software? Are we doing things in the most effective way for our architecture? And cloud cost, is a part of architecture. It is a component of architecture. So being able to say that, we're serving this many requests per second, or we're able to serve this particular workload, has a cost associated with it. And I say that I can build you out a solution that's going to go a lot faster, but it's going to cost a lot more. Being able to tie that in up front is very helpful.
And that's powerful. I remember you saying that cloud cost is observability.
Yes.
Being able to look at that. So if we were having that observability, next hot take, zombie workloads, still running, still costing money.
Yes.
Does the observability help there?
Absolutely. And one of the things that, so zombie workloads, I think, can be a little bit of a challenge here, because I probably put it in the same bucket as legacy software, which legacy software is usually the thing that pays our bills. So all of our customers are using it. It's like, let's be honest, software, the second you write it and deploy it, is now legacy. So it's just, how much revenue is it generating for us? And so zombie workloads, I like to be able to allocate those and show a full picture of these things. So we had one particular software component that nobody knew exactly how much it costs, and CloudZero helped us to be able to put all of that together into a simple place. And so now I get that question of, how much is this particular thing costing? And I've got an answer within seconds to minutes and a link. So that's so I wouldn't necessarily even say that it's a zombie workload so much as a invisible legacy workload that we need to just figure out what the return on is it.
Actually, let's double click on this one. In our section, transformation story, I just want to deep dive into some of these solutions and help teams. I find that, especially in CloudZero, I'm constantly hearing teammates ask, what are other people doing? And that's the whole purpose of this podcast, for us to grow together. So when you're speaking about getting that visibility, how do you cultivate a shared vision for the need for visibility, accountability
That's
within teams?
That's a really good question. So usually what I do is it'll start with by somebody comes to me and says, hey, how much does this thing cost? And my response, instead of saying like, oh, let me just get you the number, will be, let me make sure you're in CloudZero. Let me show you how I get this.
Nice.
And then you go from curiosity to empowerment, and then empowerment becomes another advocate. And the next thing I know, I'm asking them, hey, how much is this thing costing? And they're like, here's the link to CloudZero. And then kind of build that virtuous cycle. And now we've got another person who's getting leverage out of the visibility in the tool. And then that feeds into, making sure that we have good conversations in the CloudZero roadmap, and that we're able to, update and request the new features that we're looking for. Because I've got one perspective, finance has another perspective, our procurement has another perspective, and I can accurately represent things from the architecture side, but maybe not on the procurement or finance side.
And being able to have those views. So then what would be one of your favorite CloudZero features? I'm thinking is analytics, because you're going across all of the personas, but what do you think?
Analytics is a very helpful one, but I've appreciated a lot about the insights feature too. Just the ability, as I'm browsing through, and just say like, essentially save this for later. I need to be able to go, look at this a little bit later, and then being able to add that to a Jira ticket and say, hey, let's make sure that we're tracking this. Let's making sure that we're getting visibility, because all of our work is done in Jira. If it's not in Jira, it doesn't exist. So being able to tie that in as well as, and then we've got it in one transparent place that everybody's got perspective and visibility in to be able to see too. So it's helping make all of that invisible visible.
And I like that they're making the invisible visible. And also, when you use these insights, because I didn't know that was your favorite feature, we shift things to addressed. I do a little dance because it's a symphony of work from when we have our spend FinOps conversations, and then you have your FinOps follow up and pivot from spend. So what recent wins in that area of insights, or anywhere else from invisibility to visibility, what recent wins do you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I will say one of the ones is we knew that there was I'm sure anybody who's running AWS Aurora will know that recently they added in a new maintenance fee for being if you are not on updated versions of the underlying Postgres or MySQL operation. And we knew that this was coming, and we had kind of a spread out estimation on this entire thing. We were able to, I think I was talking with you, and you said, hey, I saw this kind of pop up. You added it to an insight. I was immediately able to take that back to the team that was working on it, and they said, oh, we missed. Like, our assumptions didn't capture everything in here, but because it's all going into CloudZero, it's very easy to say, hey, we see all of this in one place. I was able to escalate it, raise it as okay, here's how much this is actually going to be running us. We were able to engage with both AWS and our engineering teams to get that mitigated in a much more effective way. But that was a really fast turnaround case because analytics is very good to be able to go see that data. I do use Explorer a lot whenever I'm just curious of like, I want to go dig in and just kind of start looking at various opportunities and what's going on here. But the insights is where it actually gets actionable, and so I think that being able to tie those things together is kind of part of the whole story and the whole picture.
That's what I call them, actionable insights. So then, how do you show those metrics? Like, what metrics show your impact in teams? Are you going to insights? Are you creating reports to show the impact?
I'm usually showing, I mean, I'll be honest, usually I'm just grabbing a screenshot off of Explorer once it's done. And because I can then show it compared to everything else. Because if I just say like, here's the insight and it says you're spending this much on this particular S3 bucket, and it's great to be able to see that graph go from, X amount to zero. but being able to show it overall as a whole of say, here's our entire spend, and then here's the impact of that on our entire spend, and that usually has a pretty large impact depending on the audience. But the higher up the chain you go, the more that you want to see the whole picture.
The full picture. So if we pull back from that one impact or your smaller impacts, and you want to see how the trend of FinOps is impacting the industry overall, what trends do you see for FinOps?
That's a good one. I think we'll see probably a lot more kind of optimization based on these these LLMs. I think that we'll start a
Mm,
lot more of kind of being able to add contextual recommendations. I think is a thing that I'm looking forward to. That's going to be coming out in this space very soon. And I say that by contextual. If you go look at the like AWS Cost Explorer, it's going to it's going to tell you, hey, go buy this reserved instance because you've been running it for 7 days. And it's like, you don't know anything about my workload. So being able to add the context into knowing about the workload, what the classic case that I think of from my past is working for in the edtech space. And we knew that, during summer, we were going to essentially have, 2 months of everything scaled down. And then starting in August, we were going to start seeing traffic jump, 100% week over week, and until we get back up to our previous kind of scaling run rate. And every time I would look at savings plans recommendations, it's like you should probably buy some 10 times the amount that you did just because you scaled up all of this within 7 days. I'm like, you're missing the context. So I think being able to kind of
yeah.
feed the again data points in as to help build out the context in those recommendations, I think is going to be very helpful.
That's powerful. We have the cost optimized feature, which I'm really looking forward to launching,
Hmm.
because I think this is going to really address relevant information, refreshing information to the right person.
Yeah.
And that's my motto, literally
Hmm.
refreshing, relatable, relevant to the right person. So I'm interested in hearing, what's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is "Make it easy to do the right thing." And there's a lot to unpack with that, but I try to build everything with empathy and understanding what I'm building and making it easy for the person who's going to be using it in the long run. It's so hard to build things that are simple and easy to use,
Yeah,
but just so effective whenever you actually do.
I think that's beautiful. So when you're getting something done in your building, what's on your get it done playlist? Is it jazz? Is it reggae?
Ooh, depends on which part I'm going to. It will go on jazz. It will go on reggae. I'll do some lo-fi. I'll do some classical. I'll do some old school punk rock. I'll do just kind of whatever needs the mood, whatever fits in the mood. So do electronic music. I just love all types of music.
That's true. I do an Afrobeat lo-fi, or I do a jazz when I'm trying to analyze accounts. For some
Hmm.
reason, that like it makes me like move, but not too much. So it's a
Yeah.
nice move.
So
Okay,
what?
last
Yeah.
question.
What?
What's a
Well,
practical lesson for us all to take away from your expertise? What would you offer?
um, practical lesson to take away from my expertise. Just keep going. It's don't ever assume that you can't make change. Don't ever assume you can't make a difference. Just keep going. Keep moving along. Keep questioning. Especially keep questioning the status quo. We've been told so many stories that we can't make a change, can't make a difference, and
Mm.
I love being able to help people see that that they had the power in them the entire time to make change.
Ooh, that touched me. That they had the power in them the entire time.
Hmm. Just
I
there's
love that.
there's
Well,
so much
thank
we,
you.
but
Go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead. I was gonna say there's a lot we can't necessarily control, but I think that it does go back to my one of my other favorite quotes is you can't necessarily choose everything that happens, but you have some choice in the way that you react to it.
Exactly how you react to it. That's one of mine.
Hmm.
Actually, I have happiness is a choice.
Yes.
and being able to bring that presence into it. And I appreciate your presence here. It has been enlightening. And I really just love that you are so candid about how you grow and shift things forward. So thank you, Sam. We'll give a round of applause from the audience. And thank you, audience, for viewing. Let us know in the comments how you're blooming and what season you're blooming in so that we continue to go together and grow together. This has been FinOps in Full Bloom. See you later, heroes.